Chapter 529. Night shrouded the capital. The huge city with a population of more than 30 million showed a completely different appearance from the daytime. The long street was bustling with traffic, and the flowing light and shadow and the neon lights hanging on the buildings interweaved a fantastic and blurred world. The Mercedes-Benz business car that Lu Chen and Chen Fei were riding in was crowded in the traffic, slowly moving forward. It was the evening rush hour, and it was natural for the capital to become a congested city. Fortunately, it was not far from the destination, and they believed that they could arrive at Forget Grass Bar at the scheduled time. The fan appreciation party held at Forget Grass Bar tonight was already arranged. The fans who attended the party were all selected through a lottery. Only fans who bought the hardcover, limited edition and commemorative package of The Ordinary Road can participate in the lottery. Therefore, there were not many people, less than 200, so it was placed at Forget Grass Bar. Lu Chen hasn't been to Forget Grass Bar for some time. This bar, which was already famous in Hohai, hasn't changed much. The signboard is still the same signboard, the door is still the same door, and David, who is standing behind the bar, mixing drinks and flirting, is still the same David. However, the notice that no guests are accepted has long been hung out, and only those who have an invitation letter can enter. In addition to the lucky fans who were selected, there were also some friends and acquaintances of Lu Chen's circle who came to the bar tonight. Lin Jijie came. The music director of Flying Stone Records now has the title of Deputy General Manager. Now he is very proud of his success, and his relationship with Lu Chen is not the same as before. The three girls from MSN came. Mu Xiaochu is Lu Chen's sister. Today's day is so special that she would rather turn down all her work and come to support. The Bionics came, and Qin Hanyang can be regarded as an old friend of Lu Chen. Sister Li came, but the Little Tiger group didn't come, because the latter is participating in the evening program of Shanghai TV station and can't come. Then, Lu Chen met Chen Jinhao, Sister Na, and their son backstage. As the owner of Nepenthes Bar, the current Chen Jinhao could be considered as incompetent to the extreme. He handed the bar over to his friends to manage and hid at home to be a nanny. If tonight was a rare opportunity, he probably wouldn't have brought his wife and child here. Wow! Chen Fei was captivated by Chen Jinhao's son at first glance. He's so cute. Can I hug you? She looked at Sister Na expectantly. Sister Na smiled gently and handed the child in her arms to Chen Fei. Sister Na, who had given birth, had gained a lot of weight and whiter. Her whole body exuded a unique motherly radiance, which made her a bit more feminine charm. Compared to before, she was actually a lot more beautiful. Although she became famous with the song, I Want to Have a Home, written by Lu Chen, after becoming famous, Sister Na did not continue to follow the path she once yearned for. Instead, she stayed at home to support her husband and children. Basically, she retired from the music industry. Chen Fei carefully took it. The little guy, who was only a few months old, was not afraid of strangers at all. He opened his big eyes and giggled, and then stretched out his chubby hand to greet Chen Fei, making Chen Fei smile. What's his name? Sister Na proudly replied, Chen Kongping, Healthy Kong, Safe Ping. He didn't ask for great wealth, only health and peace. Chen Jinhao's son was born in September last year. He was born with a weight of 8 pounds, a real fat son. Lu Chen wasn't in Beijing at the full moon, so he asked his sister to send a congratulatory gift. Speaking of which, this was the second time Lu Chen saw Chen Jinhao's son, and Chen Fei was the first time. Chen Fei liked the little guy very much. Chen Jinhao, who has become a father, has lost a lot of his character. Even the lines on his face have softened a lot. He said very seriously, if you like, you can also have one. Lu Chen smiled and said, we are not in a hurry. Let's start as godparents first. Sister Na immediately agreed, okay, then let's set a date for the banquet. When she was pregnant, Lu Chen jokingly said that he wanted to be the child's godfather. Now it was like bringing up the past again. Sister Na was very happy. She has no intention of entering the entertainment industry again. In the future, she will basically stay at home to take care of the child or help Chen Jinhao manage the bar, but maybe their son will walk on this road in the future. Then, with Lu Chen and Chen Fei as godparents, Chen Kangping, who is still in swaddling clothes, has a starting point far beyond his peers, and the same road will inevitably be much smoother. Even if he doesn't enter the entertainment industry, there are still many advantages and no disadvantages. Chen Jinhao said with a wry smile, "Why are you in such a hurry? Let's not talk about this first. It's about to start." Sister Na stared at her husband angrily. Chen Jinhao had to raise his hand and surrender. Okay, then set a date. Chen Fei smiled and teased Chen Kangping with her fingers. Call her godmother, ah. She suddenly let out a cry of surprise. Everyone was taken aback. What's wrong? Chen Fei was at a loss and said with a red face, he seems to have peed, and it's oozing out. Everyone was suddenly happy. Sister Na smiled and took the child back to change the diaper. Chen Fei found an opportunity to secretly say to Lu Chen, let's have another child in a few years. Lu Chen was dumbfounded. At 7 o'clock in the evening, Lu Chen's fan appreciation party officially began in Forget Grass Bar. All of the 188 fans who won the lucky prize were present. It is said that after the results of the lottery were announced by Lu Chen Studios' official some fans in the QQ group offered a high price of 1 or 2,000 yuan to buy the invitation, but most of the lucky ones did not sell it, and some even came all the way to Beijing to participate in this fan meeting. As for the other thousands of fans who did not win the lottery, they don't have to be too disappointed, because the fan appreciation party will be broadcast live on Lu Chen's anchor room in Whale TV. Whale TV also specially made a large advertisement on the home page and opened a special column. It is estimated that the number of online anchors in the evening is likely to reach a new high. The bar was already full of seats. When Lu Chen appeared on the stage with the Nirvana band, there was a warm applause and cheers from the audience. Many fans raised their support fluorescent signs and shouted the name of Lu Chen, making the atmosphere of this small scene very hot. Lu Chen is dressed very casually today, a pair of jeans and a long-sleeved cotton shirt. The appearance of him holding a guitar seems to be no different from when he sang for the bar guests here, making Chen Jinhao, Sister Na, and Qin Hanyang, who are familiar with him, vaguely have a feeling of going back in time. The same young, the same handsome, the same friendly boy next door. Only now, Lu Chen has the kind of self-confidence and free and easy temperament that only belongs to a real big star. This is a transformation. Chapter 530. Good evening, everyone. Lu Chen smiled and waved to the fans at the scene, as if he was greeting a friend. Many celebrity artists like to hold fan appreciation parties in bars or small venues because the distance between the two parties was very close. It invisibly eliminated the estrangement between each other, allowing these lucky fans to truly feel the charm of their idols. Good evening. The response of the fans was very enthusiastic. The atmosphere created by less than 200 fans made people feel as if they were at a concert, noisy, enthusiastic, and hot. Lu Chen adjusted the position of the microphone, then said with a smile, "Thank you for coming to this fan appreciation party. You are all my best fans and best friends. I heard that some friends flew over from Qionghai and Xizang. It's really hard and not easy. So the first song tonight is dedicated to the fans and friends from afar. A song, The Ordinary Road, for everyone." Applause rang out, and pieces of support fluorescent signs were waved, reflecting the lights on the stage. Lu Chen held the guitar, he took a deep breath, and his expression became serious and solemn. His eyes looked forward, as if he was looking at the future through the void. Wandering, on the road, do you want to go, via? Fragile, proud, that was once my appearance. Boiling, restless, where are you going, via? Enigmatic, silent, story, are you really listening? I once crossed mountains and seas, and passed through a sea of people. Everything I once had, was scattered like smoke in the blink of an eye. I once lost, disappointed, and lost all direction, until I saw that ordinary is the only answer. As the title song of Lu Chen's second album, The Ordinary Road has long been a work that fans are familiar with. It is also one of Lu Chen's representative works. Hearing such a familiar melody, such a familiar voice, the fans at the scene quickly quieted down. They listened attentively and enjoyed the unique charm of the live show. At this moment, for those fans sitting in front of the computer or holding the tablet phone to watch the live broadcast of Whale TV, the feeling is very different. Especially those loyal fans who had been following Lu Chen and had witnessed his growth, they were all inexplicably touched. Time flew by. The past could not be repeated, but bits and pieces of memories remained in his heart. These beautiful, warm, and touching memories were reawakened by the song, The Ordinary Road. Tomorrow is already in Hia. The road where the wind blows is still far away. Where did your story end? After the song ended, the atmosphere in the venue froze for 3 seconds, and then there was an explosion of applause. Someone even whistled loudly. Thank you everyone. Lu Chen looked around with a smile on his face and bowed to express his gratitude. The applause became even more enthusiastic, and the sound of cheers and applause rose and fell one after another. The sound waves were about to overturn the roof of the bar. After a few minutes, the atmosphere at the scene finally returned to normal. Lu Chen said, "As you all know, last night I was lucky to win the Best Composition and Best Male Singer awards in the Global Chinese Original Songs chart. Although these 2 awards were chosen by the panel of judges, I think that without everyone's support and love, I definitely wouldn't have been able to win these 2 awards. Of course, I also wanted to make tonight's thank you party legitimate. Otherwise, if I didn't win, I could only change it to a fan meeting so that I could vent my bitterness." There was a burst of laughter in the bar, and then there was applause. Lu Chen continued, "The past year has been like a dream for me." He spoke softly and said some of his feelings and thoughts. He was not pretentious or pretentious. It was as if he was chatting with a friend, letting his fans see a more real side of him. Peeling off the halo of a star idol, Lu Chen was not much different from an ordinary big boy next door. He was kind, easygoing, and never treated his fans high and mighty. After chatting for a few minutes, Lu Chen said, "Thank you for listening to me patiently. There must be some friends who are scolding me for not singing yet. I want to listen to songs." Everyone immediately burst into laughter. In the anchor room of Whale TV, there were a lot of fans who sent barrage messages to listen to songs. Then these impatient guys were scolded by the big guys. Lu Chen expressed his understanding, "Then I will sing a song." "Sing a relaxing song. What do you think of singing a new song?" "A new song?" The fans were overjoyed and shouted in unison, "Good." Their voices were so neat and loud. Being a fan of Lu Chen is actually a very happy thing. Why do you say that? Because Lu Chen can always come up with one or several new songs from time to time, and these songs are all excellent and pleasant to listen to, which surprises his fans constantly. In the 2 albums, You Who Sat Next to Me and The Ordinary Road, the 20 songs were all Lu Chen's own originals. In the atmosphere of plagiarism and imitation in the pop music world, he was like a vast clear stream blowing away the filth, letting everyone see the hope and future of Chinese pop music. As a fan of Lu Chen, how can they not be happy? The Golden Melody Chart judges awarded the 2 awards of Best Composition and Best Male Singer to Lu Chen instead of his more experienced and more famous competitors, which is also an affirmation and praise of Lu Chen's contribution. Since the album, The Ordinary Road, Lu Chen has not released a new work for a long time. Although his singing of The Love of My Life in Hong Kong caused a great response, it was a Cantonese song after all. Now hearing that Lu Chen is going to sing a new song, whether it is the fans at the scene or in the anchor room, they are naturally very surprised. Lu Chen deliberately sold a little suspense. This song needs 2 people to sing, so I have to invite a friend to come on stage, so who is willing? Those who are willing, please raise your hand. Ah. Many fans were a little dumbfounded. Since it is a new song, how can others sing it? But even more fans raised their hands regardless, shouting, "Me, me." Lu Chen smiled and pointed to the right side of the stage and said, "Then this friend, the girl in the white dress, is you." Everyone's eyes looked over at the same time and they were suddenly happy. The girl pointed by Lu Chen was very beautiful and cute, and everyone was familiar with her. She is a member of MSN, Lu Chen's sister in everyone's eyes, and the best sister in the hearts of all fans. Mu Xiaochu. Chapter 531. With a shy smile, Mu Xiaochu stood up from her seat and waved to everyone. Although she didn't put on heavy makeup tonight, she was wearing a beautiful white princess dress and a professional stylist. A beautiful and lovely girl with a beautiful and lovely temperament was presented in front of everyone. Little sister Xiaochu. The fans really liked her. Everyone was laughing and shouting her name. Just now, Lu Chen had obviously played a little joke on them. This was undoubtedly a pre-arranged program, but it still gave the fans at the scene and in the live broadcast room a big surprise. Perhaps many of the fans who liked Lu Chen didn't like Chen Fei, his real girlfriend. As for the reason, everyone understood, but there were not many people who didn't like Mu Xiaochu. The brother-sister friendship between Lu Chen and Mu Xiaochu was really an anomaly in the entertainment circle, which was like a big dye vat. Some jealous people said that Mu Xiaochu relied on Lu Chen to get to the top, but the eyes of the fans were sharp. Mu Xiaochu was very talented, and she was very hardworking. The most important thing was that she was cheerful and kind. She usually posted on her blog and never got involved in the right and wrong of the circle. She gave people the impression that she was simple and kind. Such a beautiful, lovely and simple girl would naturally be protected by the fans. Occasionally, anti-fans appeared, but they were often criticized by the majority of the fans. In the cheers, Mu Xiaochu walked on the stage, took the microphone, and stood side by side with Lu Chen. Her face had a faint blush, showing a bit of joy and shyness. Lu Chen said, "This song will be sung by little sister Xiaochu and me." Everyone, applaud. Needless to say, everyone clapped their hands hard, rendering the atmosphere lively. The prelude of the music sounded. Mu Xiaoku was holding the microphone. She turned her head to look at Lu Chen and sang, "I've heard your song, my big brother. I understand your heart, your joy, anger, sorrow, and joy." Lu Chen looked at her and smiled gently. "Can I ask your name?" "Because you are my soulmate, I have another friend." Mu Xiaochu avoided his gaze. "I don't care if you remember my name. I just want to hear your new song in your voice." "Lu Chen, I sincerely thank you for your love and your sincerity. I will send this moment to you with music. May your voice always accompany me. I will do my best to accompany you with the most beautiful melody." The two sang in harmony. Although they didn't practice for a long time and were a little unfamiliar at first, they soon became very tacit and sang the true charm of "I've heard your song." Mu Xiaochu's voice was sweet and melodious, and Lu Chen's was clear and calm. But what really touched people's hearts in this song was not the singer's voice and melody, but the lyrics. On this stage, Mu Xiaochu was not a member of MSN, a well-known girl group. She was a fan of Lu Chen, a fan who deeply loved him. She used her voice to express her admiration. The duet between the two was the interaction between a big brother star and a little sister fan. It was so warm and sweet that it made people feel that it was a wonderful thing to have such feelings in this world. The sincerity was integrated into the song and melody, and the charm of the music was like the fragrance of osmanthus flowers drifting quietly. "Ah, my favorite little sister Xiaochu. Get out of here, little sister Xiaochu is mine, and can only be mine. Everyone, draw your sword, let's fight to the death, for little sister Xiaochu. Hee hee hee, you bunch of weak chickens, little sister Xiaochu will not like you, only a hot-blooded man like me, alas. In fact, I very much hope to see little sister Xiaochu and my Chin together, what do you think?" Yes, the two are very compatible. Yu Fei is also not bad, I might as well marry both of them. I like having a harem the most. Single female lead, it must be a single female lead, all the harem should die, not a single female lead will be removed from the stage. Support. In the Whale TV anchor room, many fans were making a lot of noise, but their attention was not on the song. But after all, those who liked to quarrel were in the minority. Most of the fans were listening carefully, and then expressed their love with the fish balls in their hands. The lyrics of this song, "I've Heard Your Song," were very simple and straightforward, without deep connotation, and the melody was also inclined to the general flow, but under the joint interpretation of Lu Chen and Mu Xiaochu, it gave people full of warmth and emotion. "I've heard your song, my big brother. I wish you all the best and happy every day. I sincerely thank you for your love and your true feelings. I will give you this moment with music." After singing, Lu Chen turned around and opened his arms to Mu Xiaochu with a smile. "Thank you." Mu Xiaochu pursed his lips, shyly hugged Lu Chen, and then bowed to thank the fans. "Ah!" Everyone applauded desperately, and someone shouted, "Sing one more song." Although it was Lu Chen's fan appreciation party in the evening, at this moment on this stage, Mu Xiaochu's popularity was no less than that of Lu Chen. Chen Fei, who was sitting in the VIP seat, was also applauding. Chen Fei knew Mu Xiaochu and Lu Chen for exactly the same time. Her relationship with Mu Xiaochu was also very good, so she actually understood the feelings that Mu Xiaochu had for Lu Chen. Not only was it the friendship between brother and sister, but the hazy love was a girl's longing, but Mu Xiaochu knew how to restrain herself. She was not like many girls who dared to love and hate, and dared to pour out her heart bluntly. Instead, she hid this love deep in her heart and had no intention of intervening in the relationship between Lu Chen and Chen Fei. To be honest, it was impossible for Chen Fei to say that she did not have a little bit of jealousy. Women in love were always selfish. They hoped that their lover would always belong to them and could not tolerate any covetousness from others. But for the simple and kind Mu Xiaochu, Chen Fei really did not have any jealousy. The most important thing was that she knew that Lu Chen only had feelings for Mu Xiaochu as a brother and sister. Maybe time would dilute everything. She believed that when Mu Xiaochu grew up and matured, she would naturally find true love. Chen Fei thought to herself and sent Mu Xiaochu off the stage with applause. Of course, Lu Chen was still on the stage. Tonight, he was the protagonist. After singing "I've Heard Your Song" with Mu Xiaochu, he continued to sing "The Brightest Star in the Night Sky," "You Who Sat Next to Me," "Jiangnan," and other well-known works. During this period, as special guests, the Bionics and MSN went on stage respectively and sang their own famous works, which made the fans present satisfied and pushed the atmosphere of the scene to a climax. Note: "I've Heard Your Song" lyricist/composer, Wang Yan. Chapter 532. The passage of time was always so fast. Unknowingly, it was already past 9:00 in the evening. The Lu Chen's fan appreciation party held in Forget Grass Bar was coming to an end, but the atmosphere inside was getting hotter and hotter. From time to time, loud applause, laughter, and cheers penetrated the thick walls and glass windows and spread to the pedestrian street outside. The pedestrians and tourists who came and went were attracted by the attention, and some tried to enter the bar to watch the fun, but they were blocked by the "Reject" sign erected at the door and the security guards. On the stage, Lu Chen had just finished drinking a bottle of mineral water. Fine sweat appeared on his forehead, glittering under the light. Although interacting with fans and singing until now was really a little tired, his mood was still excited. Applause sounded again. Lu Chen grabbed the microphone with one hand, took a few deep breaths, and said, "Next, I would like to invite another guest to the stage, a very special guest. She is the most important and one of the most precious people in my life, please, Chen Fei, Without waiting for Lu Chen to say the other party's name, the fans at the scene shouted out in unison. Lu Chen was shocked, "So you all know?" Everyone cast a contemptuous look at Lu Chen, who deliberately pretended to be ignorant. Chen Fei had been sitting there all the time. Lu Chen surrendered. "Well, I was wrong, so now let's invite Miss Chen Fei, Yeah. The cheers were so loud. The fans who were lucky enough to attend the fan appreciation party tonight were really happy. Not only could they communicate and interact with Lu Chen closely, but they could also enjoy the live singing of Lu Chen, the Bionics, and MSN at the same time. Now, it was Chen Fei, As the guests of the fan appreciation party, the Bionics and MSN undoubtedly had enough weight. Any one of them could be a surprise, but compared to Chen Fei, they were much worse. The meaning was different. Chen Fei was not only Lu Chen's girlfriend, but also the queen of pop music. More importantly, she won the title of Best Female Singer at the Golden Melody Award ceremony last night. Lu Chen was the best male singer, and she was the best female singer. Together, they were invincible. Amidst the cheers, Chen Fei gracefully walked onto the stage. She smiled and said, "Thank you, everyone. I wonder if there are any of you here who are my fans?" As soon as he finished speaking, arms were raised high into the air. "So many," Chen Fei smiled and said, "Is it really okay for you to do this? You are making Mr. Lu Chen lose face." Lu Chen made a helpless expression, and everyone burst into laughter. Chen Fei smiled and said, "Stop joking. The next song is also a new work by Mr. Lu Chen. You are the most precious, I hope everyone likes it." After that, Chen Fei turned to look at Lu Chen. Lu Chen nodded and reached out to her. Chen Fei took Lu Chen's hand, and the music accompaniment sounded at the same time. The two looked at each other and their hearts were connected. This silent, warm tacit understanding quickly infected all the fans in the bar, and the scene instantly became very quiet. Lu Chen, next year at this time, at this place. Chen Fei, remember to bring roses, Tai, and Miss. Lu Chen, love is the most beautiful moment, and it is not tiring to give it to someone sincerely. Chen Fei, too much love will make you drunk. No matter how beautiful a person is, she will become haggard if no one loves her. Lu Chen, I will give you red roses. Chen Fei, you know I love to cry. Lu Chen, don't treat me with a lifetime of tears. The future will be beautiful with you, and the dream will be more real. Chen Fei, the future will be beautiful with you, and the dream will be more real. I will learn to be intoxicated in your love. Lu Chen, I will not retreat. You will protect me through the night. The two joined hands. I am willing to stay with you on this road of love. You are the most precious. In the past Chinese music world in 2016, Lu Chen and Chen Fei were recognized as the best singer couple. However, although both of them have released a hit album, there are only a handful of works sung by a man and a woman. The most famous one was undoubtedly the theme song of Autumn in My Heart, Your Eyes. This song became popular because of Autumn in My Heart, and in turn, more people got to know Lu Chen and Chen Fei. At that time, it became a love song for couples in KTV, and it even spread to Japan, Korea, and Southeast Asia, and was covered by many foreign singers. But Your Eyes was written at the end of 2015, and it has been more than a year since then. After more than a year, the relationship between Lu Chen and Chen Fei became more stable, and the fans also hoped that the two could release more duet works. At this moment, these fans were satisfied. The highest realm of love is to withstand ordinary time. Sometimes happiness is like the sand in the palm of the hand, the tighter you hold it, the faster you lose it. Sometimes happiness is more like the flowers on the other side of the river, faintly visible, but untouchable. The love between Lu Chen and Chen Fei was born because of fate. It was not a vigorous and passionate love, but it could withstand the erosion of time, like old wine, becoming more and more fragrant with the passage of time. Because in each other's hearts, they were the most precious existence. Who ignited the heart of waiting in the dark night, who waited for the persistence of love in loneliness, and who let the yearning radiate the light of love in the morning and dusk. This song, You're the Most Precious, was written by Lu Chen for Chen Fei, and it sang his unwavering faith in love. Only in this way could it be the most touching. In the Forget Grass bar, it was very quiet, and only the two's voices were intertwined and lingering in everyone's ears, touching the heartstrings, and feeling the sweetness and beauty of love. The same melody, the same lyrics, repeated over and over again, the suppressed feelings gradually accumulated until the climax came, like the waves of the sea hitting the dam of the heart, making a loud sound. I am willing to stay with you on this road of love, you're the most precious. When Chen Fei and Lu Chen finished singing the last sentence, both of them saw the unchanging tenderness and firmness in each other's eyes, and their feelings were sublimated to a higher level at this moment. And this unspeakable tacit understanding deeply infected everyone present, including the fans, the guests, and friends. The bar was so quiet that even the sound of a pin dropping could be heard, and even the breathing had stopped. It was Lu Chen who broke the silence, holding Chen Feier's hand tightly and said, "You're the most precious." "Thank you, everyone." The next moment, the applause broke out fiercely, pushing the atmosphere of the fan appreciation party to the climax in an instant. There were no cheers, no whistles, only the purest applause. In the corner, Mu Xiaochu secretly wiped the tears from the corners of his eyes, smiled and applauded. Note, "You're the most precious," lyricist, Lin Mingyang / composer, Ling Weiwen. Chapter 533. The song, "You're the Most Precious," touched the whole audience, and also touched the thousands of fans in the live broadcast room. What the hell, it's another inhumane single abuse. I feel like I've been hit by 10,000 points of critical damage again. Single dogs have no human rights. My Chen is so romantic. If anyone writes a love song for me like this, I will definitely marry him. I silently took a bite of the steamed bun. I'd better go back to Bachelor Star. The earth is too dangerous. It's easy to show love. It's good. Sing another song. The fans' demand was so strong, so after singing, "You're the Most Precious," Chen Feier and Lu Chen sang, "Your Eyes," which everyone was familiar with. Your Eyes. On the first day of 2017, the Lu Chen's fan appreciation party held at Forget Grass Bar in Beijing Hohai basically came to an end. Although the fans wanted to say more, but the good times were always too fast. Life is like a journey. Lu Chen picked up the guitar again, stood in front of the microphone and said, "You never know what kind of scenery there will be along the way, whether you will encounter wind and rain or sunshine, but because you are accompanying me, I will never feel afraid, really. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank all my friends who support me." The last song, "Journey," is for everyone. It was the last song, and everyone couldn't help but be disappointed. However, Lu Chen gave everyone another surprise at the end. Because this song was also a new song, the third original work tonight. Gusts of evening wind blow the pine trees, blowing the wind chimes is like the sound of nature. Standing in the silence of the city, let all the noise go away. Only the green mountains hide among the white clouds, butterflies freely pass through the clear stream, watching the sunset bloom on the horizon, a flock of birds returning to the west. With a simple and pure guitar accompaniment, coupled with Lu Chen's wholehearted interpretation, this song, "Journey," instantly brought the fans at the scene into a wild world with clear clouds and beautiful mountains. His voice was warm and bright, lingering in everyone's ears, as if it had the power to penetrate the soul. It made people yearn for it. Who painted this world? Drew me and you, let our world be colorful. Who made us cry? Another surprise for us. Let us love each other like this. We always have to say goodbye, gathering and parting, always on the long road. The lyrics, melody, and artistic conception of this song, "Journey," were highly harmonious and unified. It had a deep feeling of entering the world, as well as the freedom of being born into the world. It showed the composer's extraordinary musical thoughts and emotions. The pine trees, wind chimes, butterflies, and sunset glow in the lyrics were like colorful flowers that could be picked up at will, exuding a poetic fragrance. Listening to such a song was definitely enjoyable, and the fans were already enjoying it. The surging emotions in their hearts were quietly soothed, and they no longer had any regrets. Many of the fans who attended the thank you ceremony would return home after tonight. It was believed that with this song accompanying them on their journeys, they would not be lonely, nor would they be reluctant to part. Goodbye. At the entrance of Forget Grass Bar, Lu Chen personally sent off the last few fans. Since they were all girls, he specifically reminded them, rest early, be careful, and have a safe trip. One of the female fans took a few steps before reluctantly turning her head back. Suddenly, she turned around and threw herself at Lu Chen. Lu Chen reacted quickly and quickly held her up. Be careful. The other party was obviously too reluctant to leave. Tears were flowing down her face as she grabbed onto Lu Chen's arm and refused to let go. Fortunately, her companion was very sensible and coaxed her to take her away, saving Lu Chen a lot of trouble. Lin Jijia, who came out together with them, said teasingly, "Lu Chen, your charm is getting bigger and bigger. Even I am worried for Fei, who attracts so many bees and butterflies like you." Needless to say, the female fan who was pestering Lu Chen just now was really pretty. Fei was Chen Fei, Er's English name. She was right behind Lin Jijia, pursing her lips and smiling. Lu Chen smiled bitterly. "Brother Jijia, please be merciful with your words." As his fame grew and his popularity grew, it was inevitable that more fans would bring some trouble. There were always a few extreme fans among all kinds of fans. Lu Chen's studio and Lu Xia received harassing phone calls from some crazy fans, as well as parcel mails and so on, but they were all handled in a low-key manner. Like this female fan just now, she was already very gentle, at least she didn't do anything too outrageous. Lin Jijia was also joking. He took the opportunity to say, "You can be merciful, but write 3 more songs for our Flying Stone." As the music director and deputy general manager of Flying Stone Records, Lin Jijia also had a lot of complaints about Lu Chen's wanton squandering of talent. The most direct example was Lu Chen's 2 albums, You Who Sat Next to Me and The Ordinary Road. Each of the 20 songs was a masterpiece. If he was allowed to operate, these works were enough to make 4 or 5 singers popular, or produce 4 or more hit albums. It was too extravagant. But what made people speechless was that Lu Chen's musical creative inspiration seemed to be inexhaustible. At a small fan appreciation meeting tonight, he came up with 3 excellent works. If Lin Jijia was indifferent, it would be strange. In fact, since Lu Chen started to make TV plays and movies, even Flying Stone Records, which has a good relationship with Lu Chen's studio, was not easy to invite songs from him. Lin Jijia originally thought that Lu Chen's creation had reached a bottleneck, and he was busy with filming, so it was normal. Only now did he find out that it was not the case at all. Lu Chen said with a smile, "3 songs are too many. Give I've Heard Your Song to Little Chu." Of the 3 songs he took out in the evening, 1 was for Mu Xiaochu and 1 was for Chen Fei, The last one was, of course, reserved for himself. How could Lin Jijia agree? He forced Lu Chen to promise to give him another song before he left contentedly. When Lu Chen and Chen Fei returned home, it was already midnight when the 2 took a shower and went to bed. Perhaps she was moved, perhaps she had feelings, or perhaps because she was facing parting again. Although she was quite tired, Chen Fei warmly and actively made love to Lu Chen. She wanted Lu Chen again and again, until she was exhausted and fell asleep. Lu Chen couldn't fall asleep. He quietly covered Chen Fei with the quilt, bowed his head and kissed her on the forehead, and then turned off the bedside lamp. After that, Lu Chen went to the study alone and turned on the computer. He pulled up the document stored on the hard disk, and typed out rows of unfinished words with his fingers. The road of life is long. In 2017, a new journey has just begun. Note, lyrics/composer of Journey, Su Wei. Chapter 534. As soon as New Year's Day 2017 passed, Lu Chen flew back to Hong Kong. The post-production special effects of A Chinese Ghost Story were in the midst of working overtime. The post-production also involved editing, dubbing, and music. As a key figure, he could not leave for too long. Otherwise, it would affect the release plan. Therefore, as soon as he returned to Hong Kong, Lu Chen did not rush back to his studio. Instead, he went to Starlight Painting. The special effects of A Chinese Ghost Story were outsourced to Starlight Painting of Hong Kong. Starlight Painting was not the largest film and television special effects production company in the Hong Kong industry, but it was strong and experienced. It had participated in the special effects production of many domestic dramas and had a good reputation in the circle. As a fantasy romance film born out of strange tales from a Chinese studio, A Chinese Ghost Story did not involve many special effects scenes, but the post-production special effects were really worth every penny. Therefore, in this regard, Lu Chen was not careless at all and directly set a budget of tens of millions. Many domestic movies or TV series, including those in Hong Kong, were often reluctant to invest in this aspect. On the one hand, they shouted that they wanted to connect with Hollywood, and on the other hand, they made do with the audience. The resulting 50-cent special effects made people not know whether to laugh or cry. In the end, the loss outweighed the gain. Lu Chen would not make such a stupid mistake. The level of starlight painting was quite good. Lu Chen was also very satisfied with a few scenes done in advance. Director Wan, thank you for your hard work. Ever since A Chinese Ghost Story was completed, Wan Xiaoquan, the real behind-the-scenes director, did not have time to rest. Even on New Year's Day, he stayed in Hong Kong to supervise the post-production of the movie. Without his hard work, Lu Chen would not have been so relaxed. It would have been a problem if A Chinese Ghost Story could have been made. Therefore, Lu Chen, who flew back from the capital, was a little embarrassed to see Wan Xiaoquan again in starlight painting. In terms of wholehearted love for movies, he was not as good as Wan Xiaoquan. However, after putting in so much effort, Wan Xiaoquan could not hang his name in the subtitles of A Chinese Ghost Story. However, Wan Xiaoquan was willing to endure it. He smiled and said, "It's not hard. This movie has the potential to be a hit. It's worth it no matter how hard it is," but, he hesitated for a moment and said, "According to the current production progress, I'm afraid we might not be able to make it in time for the Spring Festival." January 27th was New Year's Eve, and there was only a little more than a month until the Lantern Festival. With the request made by Lu Chen, even if Starlight did its best, it might not be able to meet the requirements for A Chinese Ghost Story to be released in the Spring Festival slot. Because even if the special effects were completed, the dubbing, music, and editing were all done, they still had to submit it for approval, screening, publicity, and so on. Time was really too tight. Unless the post-production requirements were lowered. It's fine even if we can't make it in time for the Spring Festival slot. In this regard, Lu Chen resolutely said, "First of all, you have to ensure the quality. I only want the best." The domestic film market was hot, and the Spring Festival period was the period of the box office explosion. Originally, Lu Chen had planned to use Xiangjiang's new film support policy to benefit from the Spring Festival period. But he would never lower his expectations for the quality of the film because of this. In Lu Chen's dream world, the original version of A Chinese Ghost Story was undoubtedly a real classic. Now that he had moved this movie into reality, he could only do it better with all his heart so that he would not ruin the classic. Lu Chen would not forgive himself if he worked so hard at the beginning but did it carelessly in order to meet the schedule. His attitude made Wan Xiaoquan very pleased. Wan Xiaoquan had been in the industry for so many years and had made many movies. He had also encountered investors and producers who were eager for quick success and profits. In order to rush back the funds, they made all kinds of unreasonable requests. In Wan Xiaoquan's opinion, there were many bad movies in China, and these people had to bear a lot of responsibility. He had once worried that Lu Chen was young and impetuous, or that he was anxious to make money and would not pay attention to the post-production. Now it seemed that Wan Xiaoquan's worries were unnecessary. Only then would his work be valuable. Then there's no problem. After staying at Starlight Studio for the whole afternoon, it was not until evening that Lu Chen returned to the studio. It was past the time to get off work, and there was basically no one in the office, but the light in the secretary's office was still on. Li Zhen was sitting in front of the computer, busy working, and did not even notice the appearance of Lu Chen. Seeing this scene, Lu Chen, who had just come in, could not help but ask, "Zhen, you haven't gone back yet?" "Ah." Li Zhen was shocked. Seeing that it was Lu Chen, she breathed a big sigh of relief. She quickly got up and said, "Young Master Lu, you're back. I'm about to get off work." She knew that Lu Chen returned to Hong Kong today, and she also knew that Lu Chen went to Starlight Studio to supervise the work. She did not expect that he would come to the studio so late. "What can I do for you? Do you need my help?" Lu Chen said with a smile, "No, I'm here to get something and leave. I can send you back." "Thank you, young Master Lu, Li Zhen hurriedly tidied up the scattered documents on the table, as well as the invitations and business cards, and said, I also have work to report to you. Lu Chen nodded and said, then let's talk in the car. Since the last time he defeated Hong Hua and defeated the local tyrant with a strong background, Lu Chen Film and Television Studio was really famous in the circle of Hong Kong, and more people knew about it. Lu Gongxing's appreciation of Lu Chen made his reputation even higher. After that, people came to the studio to seek cooperation in various ways, and people invited Lu Chen to dinner or to participate in programs. He had only left Hong Kong for a few days, but Li Zhen had a thick stack of invitations. Sitting in Lu Chen's car, she reported to Lu Chen as if she was familiar with her family's treasures. Hong Kong Star Entertainment invites you to attend their company reception tomorrow night. This is the business card of the chairman of Baolu Group. He wants to ask you to meet, and this one was sent by Miss Xu Jing herself. She hopes you can attend the release conference of her new album. In addition, wait. Lu Chen suddenly interrupted her. You mean Miss Xu Jing? Yes. Li Zhen was stupefied, and immediately reacted. She took out the invitation letter and handed it to Lu Chen. Lu Chen took it and looked at it carefully. Xu Jing's album release conference was tomorrow night. Xu Jing was a celebrity in the circle that Lu Chen met when he first came to Hong Kong. She debuted very early and married into a rich family after becoming famous. Later, she divorced her husband and returned to the entertainment circle. Xu Jing was very enthusiastic about charity and had a lot of connections in the circle. She was friends with Chen Feier. Although there was this relationship, because Lu Chen had a coffee with her alone once and was photographed by paparazzi, there was a small scandal, so Lu Chen basically didn't contact her much. But the release conference of her new album really had something to do with him. Chapter 535. At night, in Central Ring. A black Mercedes-Benz business car parked steadily in front of the Shangri-La Hotel. The doorman in a neat uniform immediately stepped forward, bowed and opened the door. Lu Chen got out of the car and landed steadily on the red carpet. The next moment, several flashes came on, and many paparazzi were hiding not far away to take pictures of him. Lu Chen was not surprised. He came here tonight to attend the release conference of Xu Jing's new album. With the latter's connections, she must have invited a lot of friends in the circle to come to support her. It was normal for paparazzi to come. However, these paparazzi who were not qualified to enter were basically tabloid reporters, who were at the bottom of the circle. After giving a tip to the doorman, Lu Chen walked into the lobby of the hotel alone. Xu Jing's press conference was held in the large conference hall on the third floor of the hotel. When Lu Chen arrived, there were already many guests inside, and the atmosphere was very lively. Interestingly, this magnificent conference hall had been rearranged and decorated. The background was full of blue sky, white clouds, beaches, coconut trees, boats. It was as if people had suddenly come to a tropical island. Beautiful hotel waiters in Hawaiian skirts shuttled through the crowd with champagne and snacks. On the long T-shaped stage, a band was playing cheerful music, and there was laughter everywhere. Xu Jing, in a red dress, was waiting for guests at the door. Seeing Lu Chen appear, the former little queen of Hong Kong suddenly showed a charming smile. Lu Chen, why are you so late? Lu Chen said embarrassedly, there was a traffic jam on the way. He took out the gift that he had prepared and presented it. Sister Jing, I wish your album a hit. Xu Jing smiled and said, thank you. I believe that this album will be a success, because the theme song was written by you. Lu Chen smiled without saying anything. Because of their relationship with Chen Fei, Lu Chen wrote 2 songs for Xu Jing at her request, one of which was the title song of her new album. Alone tonight? Xu Jing handed the gift to her assistant and asked for 2 glasses of champagne from the waiter. She handed 1 glass to Lu Chen. She asked curiously, why didn't you bring an assistant? Lu Chen said, Zhen had something to do at home, so I didn't let her come, so she's alone now. Xu Jing pursed her lips and smiled, you make it sound so pitiful. You're really a good boss. Do you want me to introduce you to a temporary female companion? I have a few girlfriends who admire you very much. Usually, male guests who attended such occasions would bring a female companion or assistant. Being alone would inevitably give others a feeling of being down and out or unsociable. Lu Chen didn't mind at all. He surrendered and said, "Sister Jing, please spare me." Xu Jing giggled. "All right, I won't play with you anymore. You can do whatever you want. I won't bother you anymore." Lu Chen clasped his hands and said, "Sister Jing is magnanimous." The more Xu Jing looked at Lu Chen, the more she liked him. He was young, handsome, and talented. What was rare was that he was not arrogant. He was easygoing on the outside but square on the inside. He was definitely a rare figure among the new generation of idol artists. She didn't have any special thoughts about Lu Chen. She just felt that Chen Fei was really lucky to find such a boyfriend. Of course, Lu Chen was also very lucky. It was just that the lucky Lu Chen encountered trouble after entering the press conference. He was about to find a place to sit down with a glass of champagne in his hand. Suddenly, he was blocked by someone and almost collided with them. Lu Chen didn't know who the other party was. Out of politeness, he quickly apologized, "I'm sorry, are you Lu Chen?" However, the other party's response was not so polite. There was a trace of hostility in the arrogance. "Huh?" Lu Chen couldn't help but stare at him. The man who blocked his way was about 30 years old. He was not very tall. He was wearing a navy suit. His facial features were angular and quite handsome. He looked awe-inspiring and his eyes were sharp. He stared at Lu Chen like a hawk staring at its prey. "May I ask who you are?" Lu Chen was very unfamiliar with this person. He had no impression of this person at all. The arrogant man pulled his face, as if he didn't care to answer the question at all, or ridiculed Lu Chen's ignorance. It was the female companion who followed him who said in a sweet voice, "This is President Shui of Huaguan Pictures." Huaguan Pictures? Lu Chen suddenly remembered that the other party was Cui Xingxian, the head of Huaguan Pictures. Huaguan Pictures was one of the top 10 film companies in China. It was also a subsidiary of Huaguan Entertainment Group. Cui Xingxian, who served as the general manager, was a young and vigorous person in the mainland film and television industry. He was very famous in the circle. In the past 2 years, Huaguan Pictures had been attacking everywhere in China. They had poached many well-known actors and directors to join them. They had continuously shot many films and TV series, and they had been in the limelight. Now this ambitious film company had extended its tentacles to Shangjiang. It had cooperated with local entertainment companies in Shangjiang to shoot the ghost movie, Painted Skin, intending to expand its business territory with the help of Shangjiang's film support policy. Cui Xingxian even personally stayed in Shangjiang to supervise the production of this co-production. Painted Skin happened to be the biggest competitor of A Chinese Ghost Story. Cui Xingxian regarded Lu Chen as a threat and used the Jiang family to make trouble for Lu Chen. Lu Chen had long known of Cui Xingxian's existence, but he didn't expect to meet him here tonight. Of course, he was not afraid. He said with a smile, "It turns out to be President Shui of Huaguan Pictures. I've heard a lot about you. Now I finally meet you in person. Nice to meet you." Although he said that he had heard a lot about you, there was a hint of sarcasm in his tone. What was he sarcastic about? Of course, he was mocking the person who hid behind the scenes and plotted against him. He was a complete villain. Cui Xingxian undoubtedly understood, and his eyes suddenly became gloomy. He said with a fake smile, "Very good, you are indeed the man that Chen Fei likes. You are indeed extraordinary. I hope your A Chinese Ghost Story will sell well and you will have a great future in Shangjiang." Lu Chen said with a smile, "Thank you for your kind words, President Shui. I also hope that Painted Skin will sell well." While saying insincere polite words, their eyes collided, as if two invisible sharp blades collided in the air, flashing with a little sharpness. Cui Xingxian snorted coldly and turned away with his female companion. It seemed that he was not interested in continuing to quarrel with Lu Chen. Lu Chen smiled faintly. Since he went to Hong Kong to set up a studio to film a Chinese ghost story, he and Cui Xingxian had become opponents. Although Lu Chen had won the previous round of competition, Cui Xingxian was not hurt. Therefore, the real battle between the two was still to come, when A Chinese Ghost Story and Painted Skin were released. That was the time to decide the winner. Chapter 536. The entertainment industry in Hong Kong has always been a Vanity Fair. Hong Kong's entertainment industry is extremely developed, with a large number of star artists and entertainment agencies everywhere. It is a long-standing tradition for singers to launch a new album to hold a press conference, and it is also a moment to prove one's connections. Big stars have their own ostentation, and small artists have their own routines. In the same circle, there are always many people who support each other, but the album press conference to a large extent represents the singer's strength and status in the circle. As a female singer who returned to the entertainment industry, although the number of Xu Jing's fans can't be compared with her heyday, her connections in the circle are still the same. Therefore, for this press conference, Xu Jing not only invited many big names in Hong Kong's music industry, but also the reporters from satellite TV, ATV and major newspapers and magazines, making the momentum grand and lively. At 8:00 in the evening, all the guests arrived, and the press conference officially began. Xu Jing changed into a dress and instantly became the focus of the audience, and the flashes came one after another. She first thanked the guests and media who came to support her, and then reviewed her singing career with the host, thanking those seniors, friends, and colleagues who had helped and supported her. When it came to the emotional part, Xu Jing's eyes faintly flashed with crystal tears. For her, this return was not easy at all. When Xu Jing married into a rich family at the peak of her career, she resolutely retired from the music industry and settled down to be a rich wife. Who would have thought that there would be such a day? As the saying goes, the world is unpredictable. It is very difficult for a singer to regain her glory after leaving the music industry for many years. Many examples in the past have proved that this road back is the most difficult to walk. If she fails, her efforts will be in vain, and her resources will be squandered. Therefore, as strong as Xu Jing is, she is also very cautious about her debut album and has not released it. The current entertainment industry is no longer the entertainment industry when she was like a fish in water. There are many new people and idols, and the speed at which new artists are eliminated is unprecedentedly fast. The competition can be said to be extremely fierce. If Xu Jing does not make a comeback, she can continue to be a socialite in the upper class. As long as her luck is not too bad, she will definitely find a new happiness of her own. But if she chooses to return to the entertainment industry, she must face the ups and downs in the circle, and there will be no more comfortable days. Not everyone has the courage to start over. But Xu Jing is not a woman who is content with loneliness after all. The wind in summer is blowing warmly, through the hair, through the ears. You and my summer, the wind said softly. Listening to this song, Wind in Summer, people unconsciously felt as if they had come to a small island in midsummer, walking hand in hand with their loved ones on the white beach, bathing in the sea breeze and listening to the dialogue of love from the heart. A simple and not simple song that warms the mood. Some of the guests on the scene are experts. Their evaluation of a work may be very different from that of ordinary fans, but there is no doubt that their judgment of the market trend is better than that of ordinary people. The title song of Xu Jing's new album is different from the popular love songs that are currently flooding the music industry. It is not vulgar, not kitsch, and not pretentious. It can be said to be a unique and clean stream. Such a song will either be appreciated by a small number of people or become a big hit. There is no other possibility. In many people's view, the latter is more likely. Because there is a lack of real original good works in today's Hong Kong pop music industry. To put it simply, Wind in Summer is good to listen to. Whether it is the ace section or the chorus, it has a refreshing feeling. It is a work that can really move people. What is thought-provoking is that Xu Jing sings in Mandarin instead of Cantonese, which is more conducive to its release in the mainland. Many people looked at Lu Chen. Because they all know very well who the friend Xu Jing thanked just now is. Note, Wind in Summer, lyricist, Jay Cho/composer, Liang Hongbin. Chapter 537. Hong Kong's pop music once had an extremely glorious period. In the 1980s, with the rapid development of Hong Kong's economy, Hong Kong's entertainment industry showed explosive growth. Movies, TV, pop music, and so on were in full bloom. Not only did it have a huge impact on the mainland, but it was also exported to Southeast Asian countries and became the famous Oriental Hollywood. At that time, a large number of outstanding songwriters also emerged in Hong Kong. They used their extraordinary talents to support the sky of the entertainment industry. Many of the classic works born from this are still sung by people today. But as the saying goes, the height of prosperity leads to the fall of prosperity. Nowadays, these industry seniors had either passed away or retired. The few who were still active in the industry were unable to reproduce the glory of the past. It was a very common phenomenon for people to run out of talents. The most important thing is that the original creators of Hong Kong's pop music have no successors. The trend of Japanese and Korean idols has made popular songs and fast songs. Hong Kong's pop music has once again embarked on the old road of covering, plagiarizing Japanese, Korean, European and American songs. The current situation of Hong Kong's music industry is very similar to that of the mainland. It has reached the point where it has to be changed. Compared with the mainland, which has a deep foundation, it is more difficult for Hong Kong's pop music to rise again. There is a gap in the excellent creators. It is precisely because of this that Lu Chen, who comes from the mainland, is so dazzling. Today, there are really few people in Hong Kong's entertainment industry who don't know Lu Chen. The song, The Love of My Life, shook Hong Kong, and the appreciation of superstar Lu Gangsheng made him the focus of the media. Behind the fame, Lu Chen has a strong strength in music creation. The song, Summer Wind, he wrote for Xu Jing is undoubtedly an excellent proof. Xu Jing is going to be famous. Xu Jing used to be very popular. After she retired from the entertainment industry, she was not popular anymore. The road to comeback was originally more difficult than that of a newcomer, but now it seems to have become simple. Help from a benefactor. Many people in the circle know that Lu Chen has a nickname called Golden Hand. It is said that any singer created by him can easily become popular. In the past, many people scoffed at such a statement and were skeptical about the rumor that Lu Chen's one song was worth 1 million yuan. Now they really believe it. Not only do they believe it, but some people also think about whether to invite Lu Chen to sing a song. The price of 1 million yuan sounds scary, but if you think about it carefully, it is a cost-effective deal to become famous with one song. Xu Jing is so smart. She invited Lu Chen to sing a Mandarin song, which is the most accepted romantic song by the public. The new album is promising in the mainland market, and she can even use Lu Chen's name to hype it. Few of the guests present were fools, especially several female singers. Their eyes became hot when they looked at Lu Chen. If it weren't for politeness, they probably would have immediately struck up a conversation with Lu Chen. With the song, Summer Wind, as the opening, Xu Jing's Good Times Are Good album release was held very successfully. After the guests' congratulations, fan interaction, live lottery, and so on, it ended in a grand manner at 10 p.m. It was not the first time that Xu Jing invited Lu Chen alone. Last time, the scene of the two drinking coffee together was secretly photographed by the paparazzi, which resulted in a scandal. This is not the first time that Xu Jing has invited Lu Chen alone. The last time the two of them drank coffee together, they were secretly photographed by paparazzi, and as a result, a big scandal came out. Therefore, she was extra careful this time and specially booked a quiet seat where no one would disturb her. After the two sat down, Xu Jing's first sentence was to thank him. She thanked him very sincerely. After the two sat down, Xu Jing's first sentence was to thank him. She thanked him very seriously and sincerely. Xu Jing is very clear about the difficulty of her comeback. This new album is really important to her, so she has been very careful in choosing songs and has not decided yet. Because the songs she originally invited are of good quality, but if she wants to stand out in the current extremely competitive market environment, it is far from enough. At least there is no title song worthy of a heavy bet. Therefore, Xu Jing repeatedly postponed her comeback, and even put the focus of her work on her charity, which is actually a helpless move. She really can't afford to lose. Fortunately, God blessed her and sent Lu Chen to her. Lu Chen tailor-made 2 works for her album, and also determined the overall style and tone of the album, easily solving the biggest problem she faced. The most important thing is that these 2 songs are very good, which gives her great confidence. This is more important than anything else. Lu Chen said with a smile, Sister Jing, you have thanked me many times. In fact, you really don't have to be so polite. You paid. Because Chen Fei, and Xu Jing are friends, Lu Chen offered a friendship price for the 2 songs tailored for Xu Jing, a total of 1.5 million. It is a lot cheaper, but compared to other songwriters, it is a top price. Xu Jing said, business is business, and friendship is friendship. I will not forget your help. Through Chen Fei, she is very clear about Lu Chen's current position in the domestic pop music world. There are many people who want to ask Lu Chen for songs, and there are many singers who can afford to pay millions of yuan. However, if you want to ask Lu Chen to do it, you can't do it with money. He is not short of money at all now. Friendship. Lu Chen said with a smile, Sister Jing, you also helped me and let me know a lot of people. Without Xu Jing's help, he would not have integrated into the local circle of Xiangjiang so quickly. At the press conference in the evening, Xu Jing introduced a lot of celebrities in the circle to him. Among them, there may be members of the Xiangjiang Film Support Policy Review Committee. Xu Jing said with a smile, you received a lot of business cards tonight, right? I saw a group of girls around you just now. Lu Chen smiled bitterly, this is not his fault. Xu Jing said half jokingly and half seriously, you have to be careful. The girls in Xiangjiang are very enthusiastic, especially those in the circle. You have to control yourself. She said it a little implicitly, but Lu Chen could understand it completely. Now Lu Chen has become popular, and the purpose of these women in the circle surrounding him must not be simple. Some may just want to buy his songs, some may be people who like him, and some may use him to hype up. In the entertainment circle, it is very important to be careful with your words and actions, otherwise it is easy to fall. Xu Jing's reminder is undoubtedly out of good intentions. Lu Chen nodded and said, I understand, Sister Jing, don't worry. Xu Jing smiled sweetly and said, that's good. Lu Chen smiled, picked up the coffee on the table and took a sip. Sweet and bitter. At this moment, outside the window, the lights of Xiangjiang shrouded in the night were brilliant, and the Victoria Harbor in the distance was particularly beautiful. Chapter 538. On January 12, Xu Jing's new album, Good Times, was officially released. The record company she signed for was the famous Nine Dragons Records, which was established in the 1970s and has gone through decades of ups and downs, and is still one of the big players in the industry. According to the usual practice, the digital version and CD version of Good Times were sold online and offline simultaneously. Nine Dragons Records also specially ordered a full set of Nostalgic Limited Edition, which included all of Xu Jing's albums since her debut. Before that, the promotional campaign for the album, Good Times, had been carried out vigorously. Xu Jing used to be very popular in the Xiangjiang pop music world. When she was at her peak, she bravely retired and married into a rich family, which caused a great sensation both inside and outside the circle, so the people of Xiangjiang were no strangers to her. Last year, Xu Jing's divorce with her ex-husband also became the headline of gossip, which somewhat restored some popularity. This time, she put a lot of effort into promoting her first album after her comeback, showing the courage to cut off all means of retreat. Good Times was a romantic and warm love song album. Its title song, Summer Wind, was sung by Xu Jing, which was no weaker than in the past. It was like a refreshing sea breeze blowing into the Xiangjiang pop music world, causing a huge response among a large number of fans. This catchy love song was loved by countless young people. In just 5 days, the number of downloads of the original album on the internet reached 120,000, and the sales of the CD and limited edition were also quite gratifying. Another song in the album, Courage, which was also written and composed by Lu Chen, together with Summer Wind, reached the top 2 of the pop music chart on Hong Kong Island radio. So far, Xu Jing's comeback could be said to be extremely successful, and it was only a matter of time before she returned to her former peak. For fans, they cared about Xu Jing herself, but people in the industry were more interested in Lu Chen. Because Xu Jing's success was inseparable from the support of Lu Chen, who single-handedly raised her to the clouds. For a time, people called or ran to Lu Chen's studio to seek cooperation, or invited songs. Many singers and artists even came out in person, just to ask Lu Chen to create a work for them. However, at this time, Lu Chen was basically not in the studio. He spent all his time on Starlight Reflections, working day and night with Wan Xiaoquan, dubbing and composing music, supervising the special effects, post-production, and editing. He wished he could split himself into 2 halves. Time flew, and in the blink of an eye, it was already the end of January. On January 25th, December 28th of the lunar calendar, the staff of Lu Chen's Hong Kong studio finally met their boss. It would be the Spring Festival in a few days. The people of Xiangjiang celebrating the Spring Festival was a very grand event. The local companies would usually start their holidays on the 26th and start work on the 8th day of the first lunar month. For the people of Xiangjiang who were used to the fast-paced life and work, the Spring Festival was their longest holiday. Lu Chen's studio had a lot of work recently, so the holiday was postponed until the 28th. Chen Wenxiang had booked a banquet in the hotel and treated all the employees to the company's New Year's Eve dinner. Nowadays, Lu Chen's studio is no longer the original 2 or 3 kittens. With the unfolding of the shooting project of A Chinese Ghost Story, many employees have been recruited one after another. Now there are more than 20 people, sitting at 2 tables. Cheers! The wine glasses clinked together, and the private room was full of laughter. Most of the employees of Lu Chen's studio were young people. Young people meant vitality, so the year-end party was naturally lively. Boss, let me toast to you. Young Master Lu, let me toast to you. Boss, although the studio had spent money like water so far and did not have much income, everyone was full of hope for the future, because their boss was Lu Chen. The few new girls looked at Lu Chen with sparkling eyes. Lu Chen did not refuse the employees' toast in turn. Some time ago, when A Chinese Ghost Story was being filmed, they worked very hard without complaint, so they should be rewarded at the end of the year. The most direct way to reward them was a red packet. Everyone had one, and it was a thick and big one. Even Ma Rongjin, who was not considered a member of Lu Chen's studio, was included. After Ma Rongjin finished filming A Chinese Ghost Story, he was temporarily unemployed again. Although he was the male supporting role in this movie, before A Chinese Ghost Story was released, this old actor was still a salted fish. After receiving the red packet from Lu Chen, Ma Rongjin was very touched. He was speechless. Everyone was satisfied with this New Year's Eve dinner. Uncle Quan, after the dinner, all the employees left. Lu Chen asked Wan Xiaoquan, "Are you really not going back?" After working together on A Chinese Ghost Story, the friendship between the two of them had deepened a lot. Wan Xiaoquan was serious and responsible in his work, and his professional ability was very strong. Without his direction, how could A Chinese Ghost Story be filmed on time so smoothly? The post-editing was inseparable from him. The framework of Lu Chen's studio was basically built by him. He was a real veteran. For such a helper, Lu Chen was naturally very concerned. Wan Xiaoquan was going to stay in Hong Kong for the new year. Hearing Lu Chen's question, a bitter smile appeared on his face. He shook his head and said, "There's no point in going back. It's better to stay here. There are still many friends here." Lu Chen was silent. Character determined fate. Wan Xiaoquan's character was destined to have a rough life experience. After that big change, he was alone. Otherwise, he would not have come to Hong Kong. For Wan Shaoquan, his coming to Hong Kong was undoubtedly a turning point in his life. Here, he regained his career and confidence, and also made a lot of friends. Therefore, he did not want to go back to the capital, back to that cold home, and did not want to see other people's sympathetic eyes. Since Wan Shaoquan insisted, Lu Chen did not force him. Well, have a good rest for a few days. I'll pay a New Year's greeting to Director Zhang on your behalf. He will understand. Wan Shaoquan was grateful. Thank you. Early the next morning, Lu Chen took the earliest flight back to the capital. Then he had the second New Year's Eve dinner in the studio. There were more people and it was more lively in the studio in the capital. In addition, the studio had made a lot of profits last year, so Lu Shi gave all the employees a big red envelope. The gifts used for the lucky draw were also valuable. On January 27th, Lu Chen and Lu Shi returned to their hometown in Binhai. And Chen Fei had arrived in advance. A family reunion is a lively and happy New Year's. Chapter 539. On January 27th, New Year's Eve, it was time to make a fortune, open the market, and move. 3:00 in the afternoon, Xing Wang Temple. The Xing Wang Temple was located in the center of the old city area of Binhai City. It was undoubtedly one of the few well-preserved historical sites in this new coastal city, and it was also a bustling place. Especially during the New Year, the temple fair here was the busiest. People from all the major towns and villages flocked to the temple fair. The shops along the street opened their doors to do business, and the street stalls were set up several miles away, selling many things that had disappeared in modern big cities to passers-by and tourists. According to past practices, the temple fair would start on December 25th and end on the Lantern Festival in the first lunar month. Many residents of Binhai City would often go to the fair with their whole families to buy things such as New Year's paintings, couplets, lanterns, firecrackers, and so on. Modern society was changing too fast, and only these things could retain some of the real flavor of the new year. Many smart citizens would often choose to go to the fair on the afternoon of New Year's Eve, because at that time, merchants and stall owners were usually willing to sell their goods at a low price in order to recoup their capital. For those stall owners who were eager to get rid of their goods and go home for the new year, a couplet that usually cost 10 or 20 yuan might be thrown away for 5 or 6 yuan. Exquisite handmade traditional pouches could be bought at a 50% discount. Chen Feier took Lu Chen's hand and squeezed in and out of the crowd. Her other hand was carrying 4 or 5 such embroidered pouches. She was beaming like a mouse that had fallen into a rice jar, and her heart was full of happiness and joy. Lu Chen was carrying more things in his hand, such as New Year's paintings, paper cuts, local pastries, maltos, and so on. He filled a big bag with all kinds of things. This morning, he and Lu Shi took the earliest high-speed train back to Binhai from Jing City. Chen Feier went directly to Binhai after attending a commercial performance in Binhai yesterday. She rushed to live in a villa in Jingsheng district before Lu Chen arrived. The two had already agreed to spend the new year at Lu Chen's house. Because Chen Feier wanted to see the special features of Binhai during the new year, Lu Chen brought her to the town god's temple. The weather was very cold, and both of them were wearing thick down jackets. Chen Feier was even wearing a scarf and a hat. Other than their height being a little conspicuous, they were not much different from an ordinary couple. They were not recognized in the crowd. Therefore, none of the passers-by could have imagined that this bouncing girl, who was interested in everything, wanted to buy everything, and haggled over the price of everything, was actually the hottest heavenly queen in the pop music industry. Such a fun place. Chen Fei pinched the loot he had just obtained and complained to Lu Chen, "You should have told me earlier. I wouldn't have been able to finish this in one afternoon. I could have come here with Lu Shui yesterday." Lu Chen didn't know whether to laugh or cry. "How would I know? Don't you have such a market in your hometown?" Chen Feier's expression suddenly became gloomy. Lu Chen immediately realized that he had said the wrong thing, so he quickly changed the topic and said, "It doesn't matter. The market reopens on the second day of the new year until the end of the Lantern Festival. Especially on the day of the Lantern Festival, it is the most lively and fun. He held his girlfriend's hand tightly. If you like, we can stay until the Lantern Festival before leaving. Originally, Lu Chen planned to go to Hong Kong on the 4th or 5th day of the new year. The post-production of A Chinese Ghost Story was in the sprint stage, but it was interrupted by the new year, so he needed to be there. But compared to Chen Feier, it was nothing at all. It didn't matter at all to delay it for a few days. Feeling Lu Chen's sincere intention, Chen Feier's face bloomed with a charming smile again. She tiptoed and kissed Lu Chen on the face, then pointed to the front and said, "Let's go over there and have a look." Lu Chen nodded, and their figures quickly disappeared into the bustling crowd. It was not until it was dark that the two returned home with big and small bags. "Mom." Lu Chen put the things on the sofa in the living room and shouted to the kitchen, "Feier and I are back." Fang Yun poked her head out of the kitchen and said with a smile, "Sit down and watch TV for a while. The New Year's Eve dinner will be ready soon." There were already 5 or 6 delicious dishes on the dining table in the small dining room, exuding a tempting fragrance. Chen Feier took off her scarf and walked to the kitchen. "Auntie, let me help you." Fang Yun had already treated her as her daughter-in-law, not a guest, so she did not refuse but agreed with a smile. Sitting on the soft and comfortable sofa, looking at the busy figures of his mother and girlfriend through the glass door of the kitchen, Lu Chen's heart was full of joy and happiness. Brother. Unfortunately, he was only at ease for a moment when Lu Shui and Lu Shi also returned home with big and small bags. Seeing Lu Chen, Lu Shui directly pounced on him like a tiger and hugged him like an octopus, as if the two had been separated for a long time. "Where's my red envelope and my lucky money?" The younger sister was still studying, and the older brother had already made money, so it was natural for the younger sister to ask the older brother for a red packet. However, someone couldn't stand it and slapped her little butt. "Get down. You're a big girl, but you're still clinging to people. Look at yourself." Lu Shui pouted her mouth in grievance, but still climbed down from Lu Chen. She was not afraid of anything, but she was afraid of her sister, Lu Shi's strictness. Lu Chen was secretly amused. He took out a red packet from his coat pocket and handed it to Lu Shui. "Here. In this world, the one Lu Chen loves the most is his sister." The thing he treasured the most was the rosewood guitar that Lu Shui bought for him with all her red packet. Although it was a piece of cake for Lu Chen to buy a new guitar that was worth several times or even dozens of times, the guitar had always been by his side. There were many things that couldn't be measured with money. Lu Shui immediately turned from sadness to joy. She snatched the red packet at lightning speed and then leaned over to kiss Lu Chen's face. "Thank you, brother." However, she was a little confused when she got the red packet. "Why is it so light?" Lu Chen smiled and said, "This is a supplementary card I made for you. You can swipe it when you need anything." He had once made a vow to let his sister live a princess life. This supplementary card could be used for up to a limit of 1 million yuan. Lu Shui beamed with joy. "Thank you, brother." She couldn't wait to open the red packet, took out the credit card, and carefully stuffed it into her wallet. Lu Shi shook her head and reminded her, "You can't use the card randomly. Don't get into the habit of being extravagant." Lu Shui nodded, then held Lu Chen's arm tightly and leaned her head on her brother's shoulder. Whether he had money or not, in her heart, her brother would always be the best brother. Chapter 540. Whether they were rich or not, they could go home for the new year. For those who had been wandering outside for a long time, it was undoubtedly the happiest thing in life to be able to return to their familiar and warm home and have a reunion dinner with their family. On the New Year's Eve of 2017, the reunion of the Lu family was more important than anything else. Chen Feier became the favorite at the dinner table. Although she hadn't married Lu Chen yet and was considered an outsider, Fang Yun completely regarded her as her daughter-in-law and put all the good dishes in her bowl, which made Lu Chen and her siblings very jealous. "Mom, you are too partial to sister-in-law." Even Lu Shui, who regarded Chen Feier as her idol, complained, "I want to eat chicken drumsticks too." The local chicken, which had been stewed in a clay pot with Chinese medicine for 3 to 4 hours, was one of Fang Yun's specialties. Both chicken drumsticks were given to Chen Fei. No wonder Lu Shui also complained of favoritism. "You are still eating." Fang Yun knocked on her daughter's head with chopsticks and said, "How much do you weigh now? Your sister-in-law has lost a lot of weight because of hard work." In order to shoot the long drama, Xingshi Long Song, Chen Fei followed the crew all over the country. It was very hard for her to shoot. Compared with the last time she came to the Lu family, she really lost a lot of weight. Fang Yun saw it and naturally felt sorry for her daughter-in-law. Fang Yun was very satisfied with Chen Fei as her future daughter-in-law. It wasn't because Chen Fei was a big star or anything, but because she was sensible and virtuous, which made people feel at ease. Being older was actually an advantage. She didn't need Lu Chen to make do with her. Therefore, although they didn't spend much time together, Fang Yun unconsciously approved of Chen Fei and also favored her. Lu Shui covered her head and was speechless. She had gained at least 3 kilograms during the winter vacation. Chen Fei blushed and quickly put a chicken drumstick into Lu Shui's bowl. "One is enough for me. Actually, Xiao Xue is fine. She can eat more." Lu Shui beamed with joy. "Thank you, sister-in-law." If it had been someone else, she would definitely not have wanted it since she was traumatized by her mother's words. Fang Yun glared at her and said nothing more. This New Year's Eve dinner was very warm, but for Chen Fei, the only difficulty was that there were too many dishes for her. In the end, Lu Chen couldn't stand it anymore and helped her out, resulting in a few complaints from his mother. The Spring Festival Gala of CCTV had been held for decades. As a variety show with the highest ratings in China, watching the Spring Festival Gala had long been one of the new customs of Chinese people. Although the ratings of the Spring Festival Gala were declining, on New Year's Eve, its position in the ratings was unshakable and firmly occupied the screen of the Chinese people. Although the ratings of the Spring Festival Gala were declining, on New Year's Eve, its position in the ratings was unshakable and firmly occupied the Chinese screen. Lu Shui asked Chen Fei, curiously, "Sister-in-law, why didn't you be invited to the Spring Festival Gala?" In the domestic pop music world in 2016, Chen Fei could be said to be very popular. The album, Woman Flower, made her complete a successful transformation and climbed to a new peak. No female singer could compare with her. Therefore, it was normal for Chen Fei to be on the Spring Festival Gala. It was a bit strange that she was not selected. Chen Fei said with a smile, "You can't go to the Spring Festival Gala just because you want to. I've been there twice, so it's normal that I didn't go this time." It was true that not everyone could go on the Spring Festival Gala just because they wanted to, no matter how famous they were. The selection of the Spring Festival Gala depended not only on the quality of the program, but also on connections and other unknown factors. For example, the language programs that had been ridiculed by the audience in recent years, whether it was crosstalk or skit, gave people the feeling that they were getting worse year by year. Were all the creators really exhausted? The truth was not so. The water was very deep, and it would take days and nights to finish talking about it. Chen Fei was one of the few people who knew the inside story. In fact, when selecting the programs for this Spring Festival Gala, there were rumors that she was invited to participate, but she chose to give it up. Because for the current Chen Fei, the fame and fortune brought by being on the Spring Festival Gala were far less happy than having a New Year's Eve dinner here. Another reason was that Lu Chen was not invited. Of course, she would not tell anyone about these reasons, including Lu Chen. Lu Shui did not understand. She only said regretfully, "What a pity." Was it a pity? Chen Fei looked at Lu Chen sitting next to her with a smile. She did not feel that it was a pity at all. The Spring Festival Gala was broadcast for a long time, and the Lu family did not watch it too late. When it was just past 11 o'clock, they dispersed to rest. Lu Chen and Chen Fei also went back to their rooms. It was close to midnight, the time when the fireworks were bright. Neither of them was sleepy, so they sat on the chairs on the balcony together and enjoyed the gorgeous blooming flowers in the distant night sky. According to the local custom of Binhai, firecrackers, and fireworks on New Year's Eve should be set off until the next morning. The richer the family was, the more fireworks they set off. The more fireworks they set off, the more money they would make in the coming year. Of course, not everyone followed this custom. For example, in the Jingsheng district where the Liu family lived, many local rich people gathered, but no one had been seen harassing their neighbors openly. However, the fireworks on this year's New Year's Eve were particularly brilliant and beautiful in the clear night sky. Chen Fei, curled up in Lu Chen's arms, looked up at the night sky, and murmured softly, "I'm 1 year older." She was a little sad and a little disappointed. Time passed quickly. Another year passed in the blink of an eye. As a woman, she was very sensitive. Lu Chen said in a low voice, "Are you afraid that you can't get married when you are old?" "It doesn't matter. I'll marry you." Chen Fei could not help but burst into laughter. She rolled her eyes at him coquettishly and said, "I won't marry you." Lu Chen chuckled and lowered his head to kiss her slightly cold red lips. After a series of entanglement and sucking, Chen Fei's pretty face turned red and she was almost out of breath. Lu Chen let go of her and asked with a smile, "You still won't marry me?" Chen Fei's charming eyes were like silk, but she shook her head hard and said, "No." "All right." Lu Chen finally couldn't help but say, "You forced me to do this." He suddenly stood up, and at the same time, he also picked up Chen Fei, turned around, and strode back to the room. In Chen Fei's suppressed scream, the big bed sank heavily. The room was suddenly full of spring. On the first day of the new year, because the firecrackers outside were very noisy, the two got up very early. As usual, after breakfast, Fang Yun took the family to Changle Temple to burn incense and worship the Buddha. Then it was time to visit relatives for the new year. On the 5th day of the new year, Lu Chen and Chen Fei flew to Hong Kong together, and did not stay in Binhai until the Lantern Festival. A new year had begun, and so did their careers. Chapter 541. February 1st, the 5th day of the first lunar month. That night, a photo taken at the Hong Kong International Airport appeared on the online entertainment section of the Hong Kong Express, and then was reprinted by many media. The main characters of this photo were Lu Chen and Chen Fei, holding hands as they walked through the passenger passage. Chen Fei was one of the few mainland singers who were familiar with the people of Hong Kong. Of course, her popularity could not be compared with the big stars in the Hong Kong entertainment circle, but with the 3 awards of the Global Chinese Original Songs chart, she had become a household name in Hong Kong. The awards ceremony of the Global Chinese Original Songs chart was broadcast live by Hong Kong TV. Because Lu Gangsheng and many other Hong Kong superstars participated, the audience rating at that time was as high as 38.75%, and also let more people in Hong Kong know the queen of the mainland pop music industry. At the same time, Lu Chen also benefited. Not only that, on January 29th, which was the 2nd day of the first lunar month, Hong Kong TV broadcast Autumn in My Heart, starring Lu Chen and Chen Fei, at the prime time of 8 o'clock in the evening, which caused a round of ratings frenzy. Autumn in My Heart was filmed a year ago, and it was broadcast in the mainland and South Korea respectively, and achieved amazing ratings. Later, it was introduced by Taiwan and many Southeast Asian countries, and the response was fierce. At that time, many cable TV stations in Hong Kong wanted to buy the broadcasting rights of this TV series, but Lu Chen's studio refused all of them based on the consideration of ratings. The broadcasting rights of this TV series in Hong Kong could only be sold to Hong Kong TV or ATV. Both Hong Kong TV and ATV expressed interest, but there were differences on the specific terms, so they dragged it until the end of last year to negotiate a contract with Hong Kong TV. After Hong Kong TV got the rights, they redubbed it, so the Cantonese version of Autumn in My Heart was not officially broadcast until this year. In fact, this TV series, which was regarded as a classic, was already available for download on the internet in high-definition pirated sources. Many young people in Hong Kong had already seen it, but this did not affect its charm. Once it was broadcast, it caused a lot of sensation. In the past, most of the TV dramas that were introduced into Xiangjiang were historical dramas and masterpieces. There were very few modern urban dramas, and the few that were introduced into Xiangjiang also had low ratings. However, Autumn in My Heart was definitely an unusual existence. After the first 4 episodes were broadcasted, its highest ratings had jumped to the first place, reaching 28.69%, which shook the film and television circle of Hong Kong. As the male and female leads of this TV series, Lu Chen and Chen Fei, who came to Hong Kong again, naturally had their value doubled and became the darling of the media. The most direct impact of this was that Lu Chen and Chen Fei's number of fans on Hong Kong blogs had doubled in just a few days. Many people in the entertainment industry were jealous of them. Therefore, when the photos of Lu Chen and Chen Fei at the airport were exposed, the number of reporters squatting at the entrance of Rongjin Building suddenly increased, and the resourceful paparazzi even tracked the two to their love nest in Repulse Bay. As for various invitations for interviews and programs, they flew to Lu Chen's studio like snowflakes. Unfortunately, most of the media were turned away. Chen Fei only stayed in Xiangjiang for 3 days before returning to the capital, and Lu Chen was busy with the post-production of A Chinese Ghost Story, so he temporarily declined all the invitations. However, this did not mean that he was cut off from the media. On the contrary, the promotional campaign of A Chinese Ghost Story had just begun. The investment budget of A Chinese Ghost Story was 30 million yuan, and the production and post-production special effects each accounted for half, but it did not include the cost of publicity. In order to make the movie a hit, Lu Chen's studio gave a publicity budget of 20 million yuan, which was used in Xiangjiang and the mainland. The mainland film market was the focus of A Chinese Ghost Story. However, if they could not get a place in Xiangjiang's new film support policy, the former would be in vain. Therefore, the local publicity in Xiangjiang could not be ignored at all. The broadcast of Autumn in My Heart could be said to be at the right time. Its popularity helped Lu Chen save at least a few million yuan in publicity fees. As the first movie that Lu Chen, Chen Fei, and the actors in Xiangjiang worked together, it undoubtedly attracted the attention of many people, especially the young people in Xiangjiang. However, Lu Chen would not be careless because of this, because The Painted Skin, co-produced by Huaguan Pictures and Star Art Entertainment, had begun large-scale pre-promotion before the new year. Moreover, Painted Skin was scheduled to premiere on February 14th, which was Valentine's Day. Therefore, in various senses, Painted Skin was the strongest opponent that A Chinese Ghost Story faced, and the biggest stumbling block on the latter's road to the box office. The weight of this stumbling block was not ordinary. Painted Skin claimed to have invested 150 million yuan, but in fact, it should be about 100 million. It was already very late at night, but the lights in the office of Lu Chen's Xiangjiang film studio were still on. Wisps of smoke were enshrouding the light bulbs, but then they were blown away by the heat and dispersed into the air. An internal meeting of the studio was being held. Lu Chen, Chen Wenxiang, Wan Shaoquan, and Li Zhen were all present. Li Zhen was the assistant and was in charge of taking minutes of the meeting. Meanwhile, Lu Chen and the other two were discussing the publicity and screening plan of A Chinese Ghost Story, as well as the many problems they were facing. Chen Wenxiang took a deep puff of his cigarette and said in a deep voice, "I heard that Huaguan and Star Art are preparing to invest more than 10 million yuan in publicity in Hong Kong, at least 3 times more than us." Chen Wenxiang was not a heavy smoker. He had quit smoking a few years ago, but recently he had started smoking again. Because he was under a lot of pressure. Although he had not joined Lu Chen's studio for a long time, Chen Wenxiang had already regarded himself as a real member of the studio and was working hard for the studio. As for the studio's first project, Chen Wenxiang attached more importance to A Chinese Ghost Story than Lu Chen. Not only was it related to his job and reputation, but it was also because his beloved daughter was playing a role in it. He wanted A Chinese Ghost Story to succeed more than anyone else. However, the reality was very serious. A Chinese Ghost Story was also scheduled to be released on Valentine's Day, February 14th. The two movies were competing for support at the same time, and they were works of the same genre. They were simply natural enemies. However, in terms of volume, A Chinese Ghost Story was no match for Painted Skin at all. Painted Skin's investors and producers were all well-known companies in the industry. It was no problem for them to crush a small studio. Its investment scale was also several times that of A Chinese Ghost Story, and its publicity was even more aggressive. Investing more than 10 million yuan in publicity in Hong Kong? Wan Xiaoquan was surprised. Can they earn it back? Chapter 542. Wan Xiaoquan's surprise was not without reason. People in Xiangjiang liked watching movies very much. According to statistics, every Xiangjiang person spent more than 300 yuan on movies every year, which was a box office of 3 to 4 billion yuan, not including other expenses in the cinema. However, at least 60% of the box office of 3 to 4 billion yuan was taken away by foreign blockbusters, leaving Hong Kong film companies at most a few billion yuan, and the number of films participating in this cake was as high as 2 to 300. Oriental Hollywood was not an undeserved reputation. Many small and medium-sized film companies could often make a movie in a few weeks. At the craziest time, there was the so-called 7 days of fresh, which meant that it took 7 days to complete a new movie, which was simply shocking. Such a high-speed production of a movie was bound to be a shoddy work. In order to ensure profits, these fast food movies were basically of the third-level violence, bloody horror, and so on. With the advantages of low cost and sensory stimulation, they also seized part of the market. As a result, after being squeezed by foreign blockbusters and low-budget films, it was not easy for Hong Kong blockbusters to survive. Although there were a number of blockbusters with box office of over 100 million since the 1990s, they suffered more losses. For example, Special Mobile Police, which was released in Xiangjiang last year, had an investment of 75 million yuan, and the publicity cost was over 100 million yuan. It had a strong cast of stars, but the box office was less than 50 million yuan in 4 weeks. After deducting the high percentage given to the cinema, the investors suffered a huge loss. The investment for The Painted Skin was higher than that of Special Mobile Police, which was not a big problem. After all, it was mainly aimed at the mainland market. However, it was a bit too much to spend more than 10 million yuan on publicity in Xiangjiang. The publicity budget for A Chinese Ghost Story was 20 million yuan, of which the Xiangjiang part was only 3 million yuan. Most of the budget had to be invested in the mainland media. Publicity was actually a bottomless pit. No matter how much money was invested, it was necessary to do what one could. Chen Wenxiang said, looking at their publicity posture, 15 million yuan is not enough. Television, newspapers, magazines, bus stops, mobile advertising, multimedia, and the internet. The current publicity campaign for The Painted Skin could be said to be in full bloom, and the investment must be amazing. This kind of aggressive advertising offensive undoubtedly brought great pressure to competitors. It should be known that The Painted Skin and A Chinese Ghost Story were not the only films that were rushing to be released in the new year. The number of films that had signed up for the 20 support spots had already reached as many as 200. Many of them would participate in the box office competition at the same time, and some films had already started publicity. For a movie, publicity was the most important thing. The competition in the market was fierce, and if the publicity was not in place, it would mean a 90% failure. But books that burned money like Painted Skin were few and far between. Wan Xiaoquan really couldn't understand it. Wagwan is probably trying to expand into new markets through this movie, Lu Chen said. Spending a lot of money on publicity is Cui Xingxian's usual method. Last year, he proposed the so-called strategy of going north and south. Xiangjiang is equivalent to the bridgehead, so it is not strange that he spent a lot of effort to promote the new film. At present, the competition for the domestic box office was extremely fierce. Although the market was big, there were many big shots who wanted a piece of the cake. Among them, Huaguan Pictures was not the strongest. Therefore, Cui Xingxian intended to expand into emerging markets. The so-called North and South referred to entering the film market of Japan, South Korea, and Southeast Asia. Hong Kong was undoubtedly a strategic location. Taking advantage of Shangjiang's film support policy was only a part of Cui Xingxian's ambitious plan. His goal was very big. If The Painted Skin suffered a setback in Shangjiang, how could he continue in the future? Ever since he knew who his opponent was, Lu Chen had asked Lu Shi to inquire about the relevant inside information of Huaguan Pictures through various channels. He tried to know himself and his enemy as much as possible. Therefore, compared to Wan Shaoquan, he knew Cui Xingxian's intentions better. Wan Shaoquan asked, "Then how should we deal with it? Should we increase the investment in publicity?" Although his name was not in the subtitles of A Chinese Ghost Story, Wan Shaoquan had poured countless efforts and hopes into this movie. He did not want to drop the ball at the last stage. Lu Chen smiled and said, "It's not a big deal to increase publicity. The problem is that we can't follow the rhythm of our opponent." The publicity of The Painted Skin was already ahead. If A Chinese Ghost Story wanted to catch up, it would have to pay a higher price. This was not what he wanted to see. "I'm going to postpone the release of A Chinese Ghost Story to February 21st. Originally, A Chinese Ghost Story was planned to be officially released on February 14th, which was Valentine's Day. However, since it was going to clash with The Painted Skin head-on, it was undoubtedly a wise choice to avoid the enemy. This was because that would be the time when the publicity for The Painted Skin would be at its fiercest. It would be much better after a week. In Hong Kong, the arrangements for the cinema chain were much more flexible than in the mainland. If it were in the mainland, it would definitely not be so easy to change the schedule at the last minute. This was because many movies were arranged a long time in advance. Wan Shaoquan was a little unwilling. "Then we can only see how happy they are. An extra week will also give us more time to prepare," Lu Chen comforted him. "The one who laughs at the end is the winner. This way, we don't have to rush too much in the later stages." He said to Chen Wenxiang, "Uncle Chang, regarding the cinema chain, I'll have to trouble you to communicate with Jiayang and arrange it as well as possible." The cinema chain was equally important. In this aspect, it would be arranged by Lu Chen's studio's partner, Jiayang Pictures. Although the latter's connections and resources were not very big, considering the requirements of the change, there would probably be some twists and turns. There was not much time left. Chen Wenxiang nodded. He suggested, "In fact, we have an advantage in terms of publicity. Young Master Lu and Miss Fei's TV series is currently being broadcast on satellite TV. We can take advantage of it for publicity." He said regretfully, "There were so many interviews and program invitations a few days ago. It would have been great if we could have accepted them all." In the eyes of this studio director, Lu Chen was simply wasting God's gifts. Lu Chen smiled and said, "Uncle Chang, don't worry. I know what I'm doing." It was not that he did not want to take advantage of it, but that the time was not ripe yet. However, it would be soon. On February 5th, Lu Chen's studio and A Chinese Ghost Story released new stills of the movie on the official V of Waves blog and Hong Kong blog at the same time. There were a total of 20 photos. Chen Fei's studio reposted these stills, and the publicity for A Chinese Ghost Story in the mainland and Hong Kong officially joined the movie's promotional war for the new year. As Lu Chen and Chen Fei were currently very popular, these beautifully designed stills immediately caused widespread discussion among fans on the internet. Chapter 543. There were a total of 20 stills of A Chinese Ghost Story released on the official blog, mainly focusing on 4 important characters: Ning Kaichen, Nia Shaoqian, Yan Qixia, and Granny Tree. After decades of development, Hong Kong's film industry was now extremely mature. Putting aside the factor of real scenes, the same movie that might take half a year to shoot in the mainland could be completed in 2 or 3 months in Hong Kong. Because of all aspects related to the entire film industry, Hong Kong had all the supporting companies and organizations. It was much simpler and more convenient for a crew to pull together people from scratch than in the mainland. There were plenty of professionals from the pre-shooting to post-production. The key was to be willing to spend money. The principle of, you get what you pay for, was vividly reflected in the stills of A Chinese Ghost Story. Ning Kaichen, Nia Xiaoqian, and Yan Qixia were three characters. One was a scholar, one was a ghost, and one was a Taoist. The costume design was unique, but it was not luxurious and exquisite. It was perfect in line with the character's identity. Only Granny Tree was different. As the biggest villain in the movie, Lu Chen's remake of this character was far better than the original in the dream world. Just the clothes that Chen Fei wore when she appeared were hired to work overtime by professional stylists, costume designers, and prop designers. The whole set of clothes cost 70,000 to 80,000 yuan. The stills taken from this were, of course, first class. Wow, my Fei's style is so bewitching. I like it. It's amazing. This once again proves my Fei's strength. She looks like whatever she acts. How many can she do? The real queen is unparalleled. If she's a villain, then so be it. I'll still be a fan. Don't say anything else. I'll download it as my wallpaper first. Who can tell me when this movie will be released in the mainland? I'll definitely go to the cinema to support it. Support +1. It's worth buying a ticket just for these stills. I'm looking forward to it. There were a total of 3 stills photos of Chen Fei. The most amazing one was undoubtedly her debut photo in the film. That kind of arrogant boss temperament, coupled with graceful and gorgeous clothes and accessories, with a fierce aura and the mature beauty, made countless fans on the blog exclaim in amazement, and have named her Queen. According to the statistics on Waves' blog, after the 2 official blogs released the stills of A Chinese Ghost Story, the total number of downloads of the 20 stills exceeded 5 million in just 12 hours. Among them, the 3 stills of Chen Fei accounted for more than 70%, and the most outstanding stills accounted for more than 40%. This showed that Chen Fei was currently very popular in the domestic entertainment circle. The charm of the stills itself was also indispensable. Otherwise, photos of Chen Fei would not have such a high number of downloads. The situation was similar in Hong Kong blogs, and the netizens and fans in Hong Kong were also very surprised. However, compared to the one-sided support of the mainland fans for Chen Fei, and even the male lead Lu Chen was indifferent to her, the netizens in Hong Kong saw other highlights from these stills. The highlight in their eyes was Nie Mingzhu, who played Nie Xiaoqian in A Chinese Ghost Story. As the female lead, Nie Mingzhu's stills were no less than those of Chen Fei. She also had 3 stills. However, compared to Chen Fei's gorgeous and domineering aura, Nie Mingzhu's elements were undoubtedly much lighter. In the 3 stills, 2 were white and 1 was red. Her eyebrows were lightly swept and her long skirt was fluttering. She looked delicate and melancholy like a lotus. However, it was precisely this classical temperament that deeply touched many netizens in Hong Kong. Nie Xiaoqian is so beautiful. I like the one where her white skirt is flying. It's like a dream. It doesn't seem real. I've never seen such a beautiful female ghost. She's exactly the same as my dream lover. It's over. I found out that I've fallen in love with her. What should I do? Nie Mingzhu is a beauty in our Hong Kong. How come I've never seen her works and photos before? She's so beautiful. Nie Mingzhu was Zhou Yi's cousin and the female lead personally recommended by the boss of Jiayang Pictures. Her identity was quite mysterious. She had not been in the entertainment industry before. A Chinese Ghost Story could be said to be her debut. Nie Mingzhu's appearance was needless to say. When Lu Chen saw her for the first time, he was also stunned. This girl with a beautiful temperament was also recognized by director Wan Shaoquan. In terms of appearance, Chen Fei and her each had their own merits. Chen Fei was more mature and sexy. However, in terms of temperament and aesthetics, Nie Mingzhu was undoubtedly more suitable to play the role of Nie Xiaoqian. Because she had both the gentleness and elegance of a Jiangnan beauty and the purity and elegance of an ancient lady. The effect of wearing a custom-made ancient white dress made her look like a real Nie Xiaoqian. Although Hong Kong had many beauties, such a pure and moving Xiangjiang beauty with a classical temperament was also very rare. It was very normal for Xiangjiang netizens to be praised on Hong Kong blogs. Many netizens liked it very much. Not only did they download it and save it on their computers, they also forwarded it to their personal blogs and forums. As a result, Nie Mingzhu's first work had not yet been released, but she had already become famous among the majority of netizens. The number of fans on her personal blog suddenly increased by dozens of times. Truly brilliant publicity did not rely on shouting and selling like a dolly pill, but on a silent and subtle influence. The publicity for A Chinese Ghost Story started from the stills. It did not boast about itself, but with the charm of a few outstanding photos, it brought about an effect that might require tens or even millions of advertising investment to achieve. On Wave's blog and Hong Kong blog, more and more netizens were looking forward to the early release of A Chinese Ghost Story. They all left comments on the official V to express their eagerness. This was undoubtedly an excellent sign. Lu Chen's studio struck while the iron was hot and released the first version of the trailer for A Chinese Ghost Story on February 8. At the same time, it was broadcast on television, the internet, and street media. This 3-minute trailer was rushed out during the Chinese New Year, but the quality was not bad at all. The content included the appearance of the 4 important characters, the poignant love clips of the male and female protagonists, and the exciting footage of the battle between the bosses. The hot release of the trailer immediately increased the anticipation of the fans who followed A Chinese Ghost Story. At the same time, it also pushed the publicity of the movie to a climax. However, Lu Chen's opponents would not bow down because of this. On the contrary, in order to suppress the publicity of A Chinese Ghost Story, they further increased their offensive and used various means to hype it up. The movie's publicity battle before Valentine's Day had reached the critical moment of life and death. This undoubtedly added fuel to the fire of the scandal. It's just a publicity stunt, Chen Wenxiang said disdainfully, who in the industry can't tell. Both sides are creating hype, and both Star Arts Entertainment and Hua Guan Pictures are throwing money into it. Otherwise, do they really think that the media is so bored and has no other news to catch? That night, Lu Chen and Chen Wenxiang were invited by Zhou Yi to attend a banquet to discuss the publicity and screening of A Chinese Ghost Story. It could be considered a meeting between the two partners. Zhou Yi was there in person, Nie Mingzhu was there as well, and there were also 2 senior executives of Jiayang Pictures. After 3 rounds of drinking, everyone's topic shifted to their opponent, Painted Skin. Naturally, they also talked about Jiang Wei and Wu Mengzhen's scandal. Chen Wenxiang scoffed at this. The premiere of Painted Skin is the day after tomorrow. They chose a good time. As the strongest opponent of A Chinese Ghost Story, Painted Skin was scheduled to premiere on February 12 and officially be released on February 14. It would be strange if there was nothing fishy about the scandal between the male and female protagonists suddenly being exposed at this time. In fact, it was nothing new for stars and artists to use scandals to hype up the movies or TV series they starred in. It could even be said to be an old trick. Most of the so-called scandals were manipulated by the companies that the stars signed with. But because this method was simple, crude, effective, and low in cost, even if there were any negative effects, it could at least attract a lot of attention. Therefore, it was played over and over again. Especially now that the publicity for Painted Skin was at its peak, it was normal for Star Arts Entertainment and Hua Guan Pictures to make such a move. It was nothing more than to dominate the public's attention and make Painted Skin a big hit when it was screened in Xiangjiang. Then, they could ensure their own advantages in the subsequent competition. The business world was like a battlefield. Not to mention sensationalizing scandals, some artists and companies would do a lot of things in order to promote themselves. Chen Wenxiang had been in the entertainment industry for so many years, so he had seen it all. Of course, because it was his opponent, he was definitely very unhappy. Why don't we also do some targeted publicity? Zhang Yifan, the general manager of Jiayang Pictures, said as he looked at his boss, Zhou Yi. As expected, Zhou Yi looked interested. What do you mean? Zhang Yifan suddenly became a lot bolder. He said with confidence, they can create scandals, but so can we. I think Mr. Lu Chen and Miss Nia are more valuable. Of course, we can be more subtle about it. There's no need. Zhang Yifan's solution was actually very simple. It was like fighting fire with fire. Let Lu Chen and Nia Mingzhu also create some scandals. With their relationship with Chen Fei, they could definitely divert the public's attention in an instant and make their opponents suffer in silence. In terms of fame and strength, how could Jiang Wei and Wu Mingzhen compare with Lu Chen and Chen Fei? Nia Mingzhu was also very popular on the internet. It didn't take much effort to create scandals to achieve excellent results. However, his suggestion was flatly rejected by Lu Chen. There's no need. We don't need to follow in the footsteps of our opponents. The success or failure of a movie ultimately depends on its quality. I have confidence in a Chinese ghost story. Of course, Lu Chen knew the benefits of creating scandals. It saved time and effort and produced quick results. However, he hated this kind of method from the bottom of his heart, not to mention that it involved Chen Fei. Therefore, he didn't even consider it. If Zhang Yifan wasn't Zhou Yi's man, Lu Chen would have fallen out with him. What kind of lousy idea was this? Zhang Yifan couldn't help but look a little embarrassed after being rejected so bluntly by Lu Chen. However, Zhou Yi smiled and said, "That's right. We still need to rely on our strength. Let them do it. The one who laughs last will be the winner." Zhou Yi supported Lu Chen not only because Lu Chen was strong enough, but also because the girl sitting next to him, Nia Mingzhu, would never agree. He thought for a moment and said, "I'll think of a way to invite more friends to the premiere on the 18th. The premiere of The Painted Skin was on the 12th and the official release of A Chinese Ghost Story was on the 18th and the official release of A Chinese Ghost Story was on the 21st. Although they avoided a face-to-face confrontation on the same day, the competition between the two sides would not weaken because of this. The day of the victory was also getting closer and closer. You're tuning into the Journey of the Soul YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.